Hey everyone, welcome back to Purology. I'm Puri for those of you who don't know me. Today I'm going to be testing the effect of different RAM speeds on the new 7950 X3D. This is the hottest thing to hit the market right now. If you try to look to purchase one, you're not going to have a lot of luck unless you're willing to pay upwards of 150% of the original MSRP. Having said that, I think there are a lot of people waiting to get their hands on 7000 X3D chips. Maybe not the 7900, but I think the 7950 X3D a lot of people are waiting for, and I think an even larger number of people are waiting for the 7800 X3D, which is going to be released in less than a month now, on April 6th. Given that information, I think there are a lot of people curious about performance scaling with RAM, and also whether or not motherboard choice makes a difference. So in this video, I'm going to compare performance in Escape from Tarkov on the 7950 X3D at 3 different RAM speeds using SK Hynix A-Die DDR5. About 9 months ago, I did a similar comparison with the 5800 X3D and found that the RAM speed really doesn't make a huge difference in gaming performance. However, it does make a huge difference from a buyer's perspective. Because to me, I never consider a CPU by itself. I'm always considering it a package with the motherboard and RAM that you're gonna bundle it with. Traditionally, we've always had to kind of choose a level of motherboard and RAM according to how much you're willing to spend to get a good gaming experience. With the 5800 X3D, it didn't matter whether you put quote unquote entry level RAM or enthusiast level RAM with it. The 3D V cache is so OP, it doesn't matter what you pair with it. The CPU just overrides all other components and pretty much gives you max performance out of the box. To me, the 5800 X3D was a game changer because it took away all the bloat that gamers didn't need from the CPU. It minimized the cost of complementary components, allowing users to spend more on maybe the monitor or peripherals like the keyboard and mouse, which contribute a great deal to the user experience. And since this mid-range chip at a reasonable cost for an elite gaming experience that could be paired with pretty much anything you find and get max performance, and was beating Intel's flagship 12900KS with the best motherboard and RAM possible, with a setup that could cost up to 3 times as much as an X3D setup, it was pretty embarrassing for Intel, so they had to do something. With the 13600K, I think they made a really good chip for gamers. But now the 7800 X3D is coming out, so we'll see how that goes. So if you've seen my site at all, you've seen that the 5800 X3D is probably the most featured CPU on my page. I have a lot of feature videos on it as well. I'm personally very impressed by the 5800 X3D because of the technology and innovation behind the 3D stacked V cache. So just reflecting on the 5800 X3D over time, I got to thinking, they have this incredible technology they uncovered, and they decided to demo it on their mid-range chip and lock down some of the features. They release it, it destroys Intel's best chip at close to 1/3 or half the cost. So now I'm wondering, what happens when they put it on their best chip and they unlock everything? There had to have been some engineer at AMD thinking the same thing, and they probably thought of it before I did, because I'm sure they're a lot smarter than me. But either way, I had that thought, and ever since I realized how good the X3D tech is for games, I've been really anticipating the release of these new X3Ds, because I think now they've had some time to mature the technology and also develop it enough that they can be ready to put it on their best chips and really display what the tech can do. Alright, so here's what I did to set up my tests. I used two maps, factory and streets, and I used 1080 and 4K resolutions. What I did was record each map on minimum settings and maxed out settings. I used offline mode here and cranked the AI amount up to high to put a heavy load on the CPUs and really test their performance here. So I'm gonna roll footage at 3 different RAM speeds. One thing to note is that the 6000 CL30 configuration had both CCDs enabled, but this did not affect the testing.
Ёбаная! Ты засранец!
Alright, so here's an overview of the stats. As you can see, they're all kind of within the same range. On factory 1080 low, you can see the FPS average is actually highest on 4800 CL40. In Ultra, same thing. The 4800 CL40 is leading. I'd say they're all in the same ballpark and within margin of error, really. So far, not really much of a noticeable difference. In Streets 1080 low, kind of the same trend. This time 6000 CL30 is leading, but they're all within the same range, and with the amount of RNG that EFT has, I'd say this is within margin of error again. On Ultra, more of the same. Slightly larger delta between 4800 and 6000, but again, I'm chalking this up to EFT RNG. On factory, 4K low, the 4800 CL40 seems to take the lead a lot on the average and max, but it's not always the case. For factory 4K Ultra, I mean, if you look at the bar distributions, they're pretty much always the same no matter what map we're on. They're all gonna be within the same range and what I consider to be within margin of error. On Streets 4K low, same thing. For some reason, 4800 CL40 had a spike up to 162, but I mean, really the performance was about the same. Lastly, Streets 4K Ultra, same thing. This time 6000 CL30 had a spike at 149. Averages 1%, about the same. So for me, I'm calling performance a wash across all three RAM speeds. So the performance was a wash. What about the CPU and RAM side? If we look at the numbers, the 4800 CL40 system was consistently running maybe 3 to 4 degrees cooler than the 5200 system. The 6000 CL30 configuration, as I mentioned earlier, had both CCDs enabled, and as you can see on the power usage, it adds close to, I'd say, 25 watts on the CPU power usage. Similar to the temperature difference, the 4800 CL40 configuration was consistently running at 4 to 5 watts less than the 5200 CL46 configuration. The 6000 configuration was always around 30 watts ahead of both of the other configurations, and it looks like the second CCD accounts for about 25 to 30 watts of usage. Some interesting things I saw on the RAM usage. This might just go back to EFT's RNG, but on each RAID, the RAM usage was random, usually between 10 and 17 gigabytes, and it would vary between all systems. There was no consistent pattern between all of them. Sometimes the 4800 would use more, sometimes the 6000 would use more, and sometimes the 5200 would use more. So if anyone has any insight on that, please feel free to share it in the comments, because I'm not exactly sure what that means. So after doing this test, I don't really see an advantage to running the RAM at a higher speed. All it does is increase the temperature and power usage a little bit. So further testing to be done, but is there even a point to running expo profiles for the X3Ds? Maybe not. So I hope the information I shared was helpful or informative. If it was, please drop a like and subscribe for more content like this. I will be comparing performance between an entry-level $150 B650 versus a $700 X670E Aorus Xtreme in an upcoming video. So I hope to see you around when that releases. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. If you have a video, technical support, or PC build help request, go ahead and visit my website and fill out a request form. If you want to get in touch with me directly, join my Discord community and shoot me a message there. My username is Puri. As always, I want to thank you for your support and for stopping by. I hope you have a great rest of your day.